Mr. Speaker, at this time I'd like to yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from Texas, Dr. Paul.
I was recognized for 3 minutes.
I thank the gentleman for yielding, and I ask unanimous consent to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, so ordered.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of the rule. I rise also in support of the Sessions Amendment, but I also would like to take this time to make a few comments about why I will be voting against the bill. With the utmost sincerity and the deep conviction, I am quite confident that this bill, if you vote for it, you will be voting for a national ID card. And I know some will argue against that, and they say this is voluntary, but it really can't be voluntary. If a state opts out, nobody's going to accept their driver's license. So this is not voluntary. Matter of fact, even the House Republican Conference, who sent a statement around and some points about this bill, said the federal government should set standards for the issuance of birth certificates and sources of identification such as driver's licenses. This is nationalization of all identification. It will be the introduction of the notion that we will be carrying our papers. Matter of fact, I think it might even be a little bit worse than just carrying our papers and showing our papers, because in this bill there are no limitations of the information that may be placed on this identification card. There are minimum standards but no maximum limitations, and the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security can add anything at once. So if they would like to put on there the fact that you belong to a pro-gun group, it may well appear on your national ID card, because there may be an administration someday that might like to have that information. But there's no limitations as far as biometrics. There's no limitations as far as radio frequency identification. That technology is already available and being used on our passports, which means that you don't have to show your papers. All you have to do is walk by somebody that has a radio frequency ability to read your passport or read your driver's license. And there's no limitation as to what they can put on these documents. And this bill also allows the definition of terrorism to be redefined. There is no limitations. And you know, in many ways, I understand how well-intentioned this is, but to me it's sort of like the gun issue. Conservatives always know that you don't register guns. That is just terrible, because the criminals won't register their guns. But what are we doing with this bill? We're registering all the American people. And you want to register the criminals and the thugs and the terrorists. Well, you know, why does a terrorist need a driver's license? They can just steal the car or steal an airplane or steal a bus or whatever they want to do. So you're registering all the American people because you're looking for a terrorist, and all the terrorist is going to do is avoid the law. But we, the American people, have to obey the law. If we don't, we go to prison. So I rise in strong objection to this bill, and I hope that there will be a few that will oppose H.R. 418. Thank you.
I'm inspired.
We propose that everybody, every American, citizen, legal immigrant, gets a non-forgeable employment card, a national employment card. It has a little chip in there that you can't forge that matches the retina of your eye. Now, every employer would have to swipe the card through a little machine like a credit card machine. When someone applied for a job, it would have their picture on it, of course. And if the computer said they're a citizen,
I got it.
or they're
Senator. I got it. I think I got it.
But here's the other part. If the employer doesn't swipe the card or hires him anyway, first time, a $50,000 fine. Second time, jail. It will cut illegal immigrants, and then the Baileys will be willing to accept lots of legal immigrants who we need in this country.
Well, I don't think there's much problem with Americans accepting legal immigrants of any...
It's a radio frequency identification, or RFID tag. The same technology used to tag animals to help reunite a pet with its owner. RFID has now won Food and Drug Administration approval for use in humans.
It occurs to me, I've got them in my dogs. Why wouldn't I have them in small children too? Verichip, subsidiary of publicly traded Applied Digital, has added Tommy Thompson to its board of directors.
Then there is the issue of privacy and whether employers might start demanding employees get the chip implanted as a form of ID.
In the 1980s, you take a polygraph test to get a job. In the 1990s, it was drug testing. A little later on, it was reading your email. And in each step along the line, you start to ask the question, is the law going to create any zones of safety?
Now, many of us carry around an equivalent to this tiny little chip already, only they don't look like this, they look like this.
Finished. We now have over 60 hospitals that have agreed to implement the system, so that time is nearing.
The way it works is it actually picks up and amplifies ambient electromagnetic energy from the reader devices. And if you have one of these things in your arm and you get within range of a powerful electromagnetic field, it can actually burn you.